Cable TV proudly presents the Prep Football Game of the Week. This week's game, Rummel versus East Jefferson, right here at East Jefferson Stadium. Hi, I'm Manny Baracco, your sports commentator, and what about the two ball clubs, Rummel and East Jefferson? We're just about ready to get underway with our ball game, and with me tonight is Kenny Trahan from WTIX and Elton Lagasse. He has coached at East Jefferson as well as Bonneville, is currently running for school board in Jefferson Parish. Kenny, what about the Rummel Raider Ball Club?
Well, they're going to be a fine club this year, no doubt about it, Manny. Of course, the Raiders a year ago 6-4. They had 4 losses coming in the district in 11 Quad A, the toughest district in the state, to Chalmette, Martin, Gisborne, and Shaw. Of course, they owned 2 big wins last year, one over this very East Jefferson team, the other over the defending state champion St. Augustine Purple Knights. And that in itself should say what kind of team Rummel has coming back this year. They have a number of starters at skill positions coming back, including their quarterback, who happens to be the coach's son, Jay Roth. He's number 10. He's 5'11", about 180 pounds, and he can run and throw the ball. And running back Jay Scheib, number 18, figures to be their star this year if he can stay healthy. One of the leading running backs last year before getting injured. A guy to look for there. The tight end, Artie Delonaville, 6'3", about 175 pounds. He's an outstanding ball player. They like to get him to go out of that wing T offense. Defensively, the Raiders have a few stars as well. Mike Membrano, number 21, the cornerback, known for his baseball pitching as well, is an outstanding athlete, and he will really hit you, no doubt about that. And the outstanding player is Kurt Seiler, the middle linebacker, number 45. Kurt is a senior and was probably Rummel's best defensive player a year ago. So the Raiders are a strong football. People like them to win District 11 Quad A.
This one was 6-4, and I think you're right. The Rummel Raiders.
I'd wear something clean. Well, I said you wouldn't care. I mean, it's just so much wider, and it's very obvious. That's the Clorox one. And there is a definite difference.
I feel with Tom Brock earlier. What did Tom have to say about his outlook on this season?
Tom feels that one of his biggest problems is going to be the number of players that have left East Jefferson this year and gone on to Riverdale and to Grace King. He feels he has several good football players left, but the sheer loss of numbers of football players is going to affect him some this year.
Okay, the flip of the coin has already taken place. The captains for Rummel, Jay Roth and Jay Scheib, at East Jefferson, Steve Hollander and Troy Trosclair. The Rummel Raiders have won the toss, have elected to receive, and they'll be receiving from the north end zone. The playing conditions, if there is such a factor, Kenny, I would think the playing conditions may hamper the Rummel Raider offense, and they are very potent. Although, prior to the game, I was down on the field, and you fans out there can probably see the field. It's a little darker in spots. That's your muddy spots. Along the sidelines in certain areas of the field, it's thick grass, and the footing shouldn't be played that important of a role. But I'm sure turnovers, everything is going to be very important in this game when it's wet like this, Ken.
Certainly will. And we have Pat Arsenault kicking off here. Jay Scheib is deep, and I think Rummel does have a little bit more speed, and I think your observation is very good.
Ready for our kickoff. First prep game of the week. Rummel versus East Jefferson, and this one goes back 13 years. End over end kick coming down to the 28-yard line, and picking it up for Rummel, Dan Wagner, number 39, brings it out to the 40, or to the 30, and Elton, just by the opening kickoff, the Warriors are very, very enthusiastic about this ball game.
Yeah, I was in the locker room before the ball game with Coach Brock, and I think he's got the Warriors fired up. He was concerned about last week's ball game, but the team not being ready to play. I think they'll be ready this week.
Here's your lineup in the backfield for Rummel. Roth, hands off, outside and look out. Jay Scheib, number 18, had almost jumped on the horse and took it down the sideline. Scheib run out of bounds after a 5-yard gain. 2nd and 5 for the Rummel Raiders in their own territory at the 35.
Good job on the right side of the offensive line that time, Manny. They really opened up a hole. Scheib just kind of ran out of room on the short side of the field.
Roth looks over his defense and now balks his signals out. Number 32, Andre Rome, in motion, left. Handoff straight ahead to Jay Scheib. side nears a first down, comes up maybe a yard or two short of a first. So it'll be a big third down situation. Elton, last week, as you noted, the East Jefferson Warrior defense had holes drilled throughout it by the Holy Cross offense. And at this point in the ball game, although Rummel's moving the ball, they look a little bit more intense. They look a little bit closer as a group. Roth, split backfield. Here comes the handoff. Straight ahead, it'll be a first down for the Raiders. Oh, it's going to be real close. Kenny, it appears from this vantage point. It may be a first down. They may be calling a measurement.
Yeah, they're going to have to measure here. They've got about number 15 made an outstanding play for East Jefferson there to deny the running back perhaps of obtaining that yardage for the first down.
Well, we've got a chance, Kenny. Let's pick up the interior line for the Rummel Raiders. Number 50, David Schmidt at center. The guard position, 70, Ricky Starr. First down, Raiders. Across the 40 to the 41-yard line. Nearing midfield, number 66, Jerry Everts. At the tackle position, 64, Tim Osborne. 61, David Houts. And at the end position, split end, Brian Gardner. Tight end, Artie Delonaville. And holy cow, Kenny, I don't know what they did. You can see if you can pick it up.
That's the wing T offense, a lot of shifting.
Number 32, Andre Rome, moving out of the left side. Rome dropped down by possibly the last man that could make the tackle. Andy Mia, number 24 for East Jefferson, the right side cornerback. We have 10 minutes remaining in our first quarter of play. Jay Roth again checks out the defense from East Jefferson. Straight ahead, and the Warriors are right there. The Warrior defense swarming. Number 39, Dan Wagner. And I'll tell you, a host of tacklers led by number 12, Reggie Darray, and number 15, Ron Osorio.
Outstanding defensive play there, just a straight buck play. They figured they'd set it up after running that wide play the play before with the massive shifting, but as you mentioned, Osorio was not fooled on that particular play. Fine defensive effort.
East Jefferson 4-6 last year. They run a 4-4 defense, and they've got their 4 linebackers ready to shoot the gaps. Here they go, blitz on the right side. Rummel goes straight ahead with the dive play. And it looked like Jay Schaub once again, number 18.
And it's going to be close once again for the first down here, Manny. They're really, I would say they're probably a foot short or so. Number 61 on the tackle there, that's Paul Timpany, a returning player and an outstanding player for East Jefferson.
They're going to call for a measurement once again. Kenny, we take a look back in the past 13 years. It opened up in 68, and it sounds like an old Rummel year after year. 68, Rummel 26, EJ 12. Again, Rummel 25, 14, and 69. In 1970, the Warriors finally defeated the Raiders 32-18.
That was with Mike Miley. The only way they could possibly pull off a fourth quarter rally that many, many people will never forget. Miley, one of the greatest athletes ever, not only in this area, but in the state.
You're right there. I'll tell you what, you take a look at the next scores, and there's a string of shutouts. 12-0, 9-0, 16-0, 21-0, 7-0, 11-0, then a tie in 76, 3-3. Last 3 years, 16-0, 20-14, and 14-12 last year's heartbreaker. Elton, the Raiders have elected to punt. Number 17, Bubba Vicarella, back to punt. Gets a fine kick, a little bit wobbly style coming out at the 12, and returner Alan Jackson has nowhere to go, catches the ball and sits on it.
That's just fine coverage there, a good kick, and Jackson may have elected to fair catch that ball, not a pursuit, but he decided to try to field it. Luckily, he held on. Now we'll get a look at the fine athlete East Jefferson has at cornerback, Hollander, one of the many Hollanders at this school.
I'll tell you what, you hit the nail right on the head. Steve Hollander is just an outstanding athlete, and he does play an important part in their offense. Hollander slows down, things get tough. Steve Hollander, Randy Pembroke, Lionel Washington, Alan Jackson in the backfield. Straight ahead, to the left side.
Running from that was from a power eye. Wing eye formation and put in. Looks like they're going to try to just get in there and just butt them out of there.
Kurt Seifert, number 45, in on the stop for the Raiders. Gain of about 3 yards. We'll call it 2. It'll be a second down, 8 yards to go. The Warrior offense now in an I formation. Bottom of your screen is number 23, Alan Jackson. Mix up in the backfield, and here's what we talk about our footing. Lionel Washington made his first step to the outside and slipped. Of course, his feet are in the dark part of our field, and this could play an important factor in our ball game.
Somebody flew an assignment there. It looked like they wanted to fake it up the middle and running option play to the short side of the field, but there's a little collision between the two running backs, and that really stopped the play. Hollander went down from his own man's force. So now a big third down situation deep in their own territory, and here's where a bad field condition could cause a crucial mistake. Let's watch for that.
Up front for the Warriors, Zeldin, Woodard, Smith, White, Trostclair, tight end Spano, and Aples at the wide receiver. Pitch out to the left, and it looked like it was to Washington or Pembroke, and the Warriors are going pretty tough.
Outstanding play there by number 43, James St. Germain. He fought off 2 blocks and made the play. He forced it and then made the tackle himself, which brings up a 4th and long situation.
Elton, last night, right here at the same football field, the Bruins played host to the Estruma Indians, and you can see some of the tracks they've left.
Yeah, the field is in real very bad shape between the hands of all the players. I'm sure it's doing the last hand ball game.
On formation, high snap. Steve Carpenter gets an end-over-end kick. The Warriors, number 17. Villarubio may have 6. Oh, look out. The Warriors have just bitten the dust. 6 points for the Raiders.
Just a terrific run. The blocking was set up. There was a return left all the way, and Villarubio, a veteran of this team, he's also their punter, just broke it outside and shows some very good speed on some good footing on the left sideline.
He sure did. Villarubio, he was just very impressive. He picked his blocking up, just like you said, Ken.
He did an excellent job setting the ball up. He got outside and very good job.
A very hard punt to handle as well. The ball was fairly low, and he had to run up about 7 or 8 yards to make the play. So Bubba Villarubio just did an outstanding job.
Here comes our point after. We have 6:29 in our first quarter. Kevin Cubion will attempt the point after.
They'll be setting that ball down right in the middle of the mud there. Let's see if he can get this thing up at all. With Washington in practice, and he had a very tough time getting the ball up.
Yeah, I think he may have hurt you because he's moving the ball off to the left now.
Which is a wise maneuver, though the angle could bother him.
Elton, special teams play an important role in the game, and I guess that just exemplified it right there. The Warriors played pretty stiff on defense, and forget they didn't get the ground game going on offense. A good punt, they got the Raiders back a little bit. They can, just relax and start things over on defense. But look ahead. Here comes the offense back on the field.
More ball games are won and lost with special teams than anything. More games, big games are broken open with the special team play. That's a very, very important part of the ball game.
The kick was wide left. So now, with 6:29 remaining in our first quarter play, score Rummel 6, East Jefferson 0.
For the Warriors, here will be number 33, Randy Pembroke, a 5'8", 163-pound senior, and number 24, that's Andy Meir, a 5'11", 172-pound junior. And Elton, I guess you know anything about these 2 return men here?
No, I know very little about them, other than I know neither one of them have great speed. They have fairly good balance, but neither one of them are, they may be 10-3, 10-4, 10-5 sprinters, which in today the game of football is not a tremendous lot of speed.
Once again, you would think that they might try a return outside of some sort where the traction is very good, much like Rummel just did.
Seems to be. I'm sure that's what they're going to try to do, set it up to the outside.
And it'll be Kubion kicking off here from the Raider 40-yard line. He approaches the ball and strikes it. It's a high kick coming down fairly short at about the 25. Taken by a short man up to the 30. Big hole at the 35. Breaks the tackle almost to the 40-yard line. Outstanding return by the Warriors there. And that one was high, but it came down a little bit short, Elton. And a fine return there by Pat Arsenault.
Yeah, he had one more man, and he could have gone the route himself there. The ball was kicked short, and Rummel didn't have time to get their tacklers in position. That's the trouble with a short kick. You get one man through that barrier, and he'll go all the way.
So the Warriors will have outstanding field position with about 6:15 to go first quarter. Raiders up 6-0. Danny Hollander, the quarterback. Big splits with the offensive line. Hollander sets him down, now in motion. Number 33, the fullback, that's Randy Pembroke. Hollander takes the snap, gives it off to the first man through. About a 3-yard pickup there over the left side. And I think that was number 32, Lionel Washington. We'll check. It certainly was. Pickup of about 3 yards. It'll make it 2nd and 7 for the Warriors. Ball at their own 43-yard line. 5:45 to go here, first quarter at East Jefferson Stadium. The Raiders traditionally an outstanding defensive team, and we can watch for that once again tonight. As you mentioned, a lot of shutouts in this series over the years. Once again, Hollander sets him down with big splits. Wide receiver left, the flanker is tight on the right side. They're in the I formation. Hollander takes the snap, and here's a crossbuck play, breaking a tackle but getting nowhere. The fullback, once again, number 32, Lionel Washington. Big hit there by number 45, Kurt Seither, and number 43. And that is James St. Germain.
They tried to run a trap that time, but the offside man came through and stopped the play. They pulled the guard and tried to trap to the offside, but somebody didn't do a good job of peeling down and picking up the offside guard.
As a result, we have a 3rd down and long situation. Let's call it 7 yards to go. Ball's still on about the 43-yard line. Hollander now rolling out, looking to throw, has an option to run. He does throw out in the flat. It's complete to number 28. Or is it 26?
That's Tim Fondra, number 26.
And he looks to be maybe a half a yard short of a first down there. A good throw by Hollander. And Fondra made a fine diving catch, but he may have come up just a foot or two short here. I'm sure we will have a measurement here. Danny Hollander is asking for it.
So Hollander now motions to the sidelines.
He'd like to go for it.
I think he would. I think Tom Brock, at this point in the game, you really can't afford to turn the ball over back to Rummel because they've got an offense that'll put points on the board, especially if you put them in good field position.
And the clock is running here. He'd better make a decision fast or he'll get a 5-yard penalty.
Too early in the ball game to take a chance like that. You know, if you're in the last quarter, a minute or two, then you may take a chance.
Take a look where punter Carpenter is punting from. He's going to be walking into a very big wet spot. Flag down.
There, you got too much time in that score pass.
He sure did, Ken. Fair catch, Rummel. And we're waiting for a motion. The first
Raiders have recovered the ball.
Goes to the Raiders at the 31, but there's a flag down, and
it had to be too much time. They just took a long time making a decision. Danny Hollander, as we saw, waving to the coach frantically to try to get something done, but there was a little bit of indecision there, and that's all it takes in the game of football. You only have 30 seconds to get the play off. I think the Raiders will decline this. 31-yard line is not bad field position.
No, not at all. In fact, it was an exceptionally good kick.
I'm sure they're going to take that rather than take a chance of handling another kick.
Let's see what Jay Roth and company has in store now for the Warrior defense. The Warrior defense, if you've just tuned in, did not allow the 6 points. It was their special unit, the punting team, as the Rummel Raider first offensive thrust came up just 1 yard past the midfield strike down to the 49 in Warrior territory.
Here you have a slot right. Let's watch for somebody in motion here out of this wing. That's generally what the Raiders pull.
Straight ahead, quick snap.
That's Shive again.
Shive one more time on the carry across the 30 to about the 34, 35-yard line.
I think Rummel's just trying to keep the ball and grind it out now, man. Here in Kenny, I think they're not going to take a chance of throwing the football. As long as they can move the ball on the ground, that's what they're going to do.
Number 71, Greg Parent, on the stop for the Warriors. Here we come. Once again, split backfield.
Oh, he's going to throw the ball.
Across the middle, completed, flags down. And I'll tell you, Elton, as let's see if we can pick it up. He's getting a little muddy. Number 80, Delonaville, already pulls it in across the 40. The 44.
I think we had a little motion on that play. The Raiders were moving a little soon on that.
I think so. It was in the backfield. Elton, there was one thing I was about to comment on, and you're watching right now the Rummel backfield. They're in a two-point stance. They're not getting down. Some of your observations on this, why? Sometimes your backfield will get in a set position. Other times they'll be standing up.
If you run a veer, if you're going to run from the veer, and it seems to me Rummel's trying to run the veer, they can go with their backs from the opposition because they have a choice of picking their own holes, and they have a tendency to be able to see the openings better from the upright position.
As you can well see on that play, Roth has a fine arm and is a good passer if need be. Delonaville, a fine receiver as well. He's their main target.
Here we go. Rome in motion left. And here he comes. Look out! We're going to have a long one. Throw him all the way on his own. Look at this man pump the legs. 6 more.
Andre Rome runs 109.8. Fastest man on the Raider team, and he just displayed his speed on an off track. Great blocking on the interior offensive line of the Rummel Raiders. He just kind of cut it up. It looked like a slant play.
Kenny Trahan, 70 yards. And as you said, the interior line, you've got to give these guys credit. Elton, you've coached the line for a long time, and these young men have really got to pay their dues during the week. And let's give them a little bit of a prim here. Schmidt, Starr, Everts, Osborne, Deonaville, Gardner, Lachutes. These guys did an exceptional job. Of course, you can't take anything away from Andre. As he broke through the line, he looked for the open spot.
And don't forget, games are won and lost on the line of scrimmage. You know, being an ex-line coach, I'd have to go along with that wholeheartedly.
They're going to go for 2 here, being that they missed the extra point the first time, which is outstanding coaching strategy.
Easton Roth and his coaching staff has brought this ball club tonight ready to play. Jay Roth rolls right. He's going to tuck it, he's going to eat it. Roth smothered by number 84 from East Jefferson. And number 15, Ronald Osorio. Number 84, Tony Swan.
Let's give some credit to number 12 on that play. I think that Dare ran outstanding coverage in the end zone on Delonaville. They tried to run the same play that they ran just a minute ago. And there was outstanding coverage, which prevented Roth from throwing the ball.
We're at 2:16 now remaining in our first quarter of play. Score, Rummel 12, East Jefferson 0. And I tell you, you hate to start looking for excuses, and you hate to start saying, well, throw in the crying towel. But I tell you what, Tom Brock and his coaching staff have really gone through some growing pains this past year. If any one ball club has suffered from the split in the district, it's been East Jefferson. Grace King, Riverdale, Rummel, Bonneville, everybody draws from where this team used to draw from.
No question, they've had some great talent over the years, and it's just been depleted, and my heart really goes out to Tom Brock and this fine institution. Bonneville, first of all, drained a little bit from this program, and now, of course, with Grace King and Riverdale, as you mentioned, it's really going to be tough to draw.
One thing you have to remember about Riverdale and Grace King, they are not playing quite the competitive schedule that East Jefferson has had to compete in.
Here's our kick, end over end kick, coming out to Arsenault. Arsenault, oh, we've got a loose one, and the Raiders have it inside the 25, and the fireworks are starting to blast.
And a big hit on the play by number 87 for Rummel. That's Jim Fields, which caused the fumble. I did not see who recovered it, but Jim Fields caused the fumble with the big hit after Arsenault was turned around.
I'll tell you what, I'm really surprised at this time. We've got a timeout, so while we've got a timeout, we're going to have a word from head coach Easton Roth. During the week, Kenny, I got to go out to the Rummel Raider campus, and I talked to Easton about his 1980 ball club, and this is what Easton had to say.
Squad is a very, very young squad. We have only 14 seniors of the 93 players that we dress out. We lack experience in the offensive line, and we lack experience also on the defensive front. Our experience in offense will come with our offensive backs, and our experience in defense will come with our secondary people plus our linebackers. But overall, we're a very, very young football team.
Attention footballers, basketballers, and all.
Our ball game, during that short timeout, Pat Arsenault was helping the field. He seems to be okay.
Just had the wind out coming.
And rightfully so. He was pretty well nailed.
There's a slot left for the Raiders. Look for them to go that way.
Ross, bootleg. Oh, look out. The Raiders. Oh, my goodness. Milanovic. Jesus, Pete, I didn't think we'd have fireworks like this. I'll tell you what, I knew Rummel was good, but they're exceptional.
Just a great fake on that play. They fake the same with the front left, they fake the sweep left, and Rob with outstanding execution for a perfect strike that the big tight end 6'4" Artie Milanovic who rolled it in and just had a couple of yards to go.
They would have. Milanovic had his man through 2-3 steps.
It was a well-chosen play. I don't think anybody figured in the reverse shot and throw the ball. It was a good call.
Ooh, look out. 1:45 now. Remaining in our first quarter. Yes, we're still in our first quarter, 18-0, and it appears they will be going for 2.
Yeah, I would think so. With an 18-4, once again, they have an odd number, and they like to get one or two of those heading the points back.
Now, last week in the Jamboree, Jefferson bit the dust to the Holy Cross Tigers 21-3. To be honest with you, I was under the impression the defense looked like they were a little bit more together than they were last week. Oh, runs in. They run with one action. Look at this young man go. Fakes it up the middle, pitches back to Rome around the left side. And I'm afraid to say it, but if this continues, Kenny, we're going to be seeing a lot of young Rummel Raiders in our ball game.
I think that could well be the case, and it's really unfortunate that special teams play kind of broke things open. They're in a fumble, which you just can't do against a good ball club. The Warriors defense has just been on the field too long. And it's not in control. Now, Hollander's an outstanding quarterback, and if they can give him a little bit of time, he could get this team back in the game with a couple of quick scores through the air.
Well, these Jefferson's got a second problem also. They have so many kids that have to go both ways. And when they have to stay on the field that long, the defense is going to tell eventually.
Boy, that is so very true.
Especially tonight, it was the mud and everything, and your legs feel twice as heavy on the field like this.
Let's watch the short kickoff again.
Here we go. Moving on from the 40, end over end. Coming down to run Reggie Darray, and Darray smothered back at the 25-yard line. And to tell you, the numbers are getting pretty tough to see.
Yeah, that was number 57 on that hit, Robert Carroll.
Robert Carroll, and Carroll played an excellent coverage for the kickoff. You know, if you're watching our ball game right now, it appears to be a bit dark. Well, here in our stadium, we're minus about 51 lights. We counted them before the game. There's a whole lot of lights out, and it will affect the color on your TV set. Flag, Kenny.
Yes, it was Pembroke over the left side. They're discussing the option with Rummel here. I don't know the extent of the penalty, but with the Raiders pointing back, you would think it may be a big one. There was a gain of about 2 or 3 yards. I would think they're going to go back.
Kurt Seither calls in the breadbasket that time. You know, continuing speaking with Easton Roth, of course, the two teams have met so many times, and it's sort of lopsided, but Easton had this to say about the special rivalry that East Jefferson and Rummel have.
I think this rivalry is very, very special, not only to this ball club, but to our whole student body and administrative people here at Rummel High School. I think it's a great way to open up the prep season by playing one of your greatest rivalries in East Jefferson. We've been very fortunate that we have not lost a game to East Jefferson in the last 10 years. But if you go back and check the records, you see that every game has been very, very close. It has been very, very hard fought. And when East Jefferson and Rummel play, you throw out all past history, all past records, and you're going to see a good, hard, tough, close football game Friday night.
We'll have a second down in about 5 situations. First quarter counting down with about 24 seconds to go here. 20-0 Rummel.
Clock running down now. We've got 19 seconds and moving. Hollander's going to have to pull up some magic. One thing will have to be said about tonight's ball game, at least the first quarter, is that the Rummel Raider coaching staff has had their ball club prepared, and prepared they are. Steve Hollander smothered. Flags down, and right there you could have seen something that's called intimidation.
Yes, and I think you're going to have a 15-yarder against the Raiders for being a little bit too intimidating, as you mentioned on that play. Kurt Seidler, by the way, the initial hit, and he's made, I guess, about 7 tackles already in this game.
I'll tell you what, Mr. Seidler is very, very fired up for this one.
Well, the corner is fired on that play, so we'll see the penalty stepped off at the other end of the field.
So we've got this break. Let's hear this from one of our sponsors.
Bonsoir et bienvenue. I'm Vicki Capel, your hostess for a new...
Something like that out of Pembroke or Washington. One of these men is going to have to take control as far as running is concerned for the Warriors to be in contention for District 12 Quad A.
Yes, well, they inserted Pembroke in the game, and he's made his mark already. Another outstanding run there. He replaced number 23, who had been in the game earlier, the little guy who has the good speed. Tonight, I don't think speed is going to make a great deal of difference for him.
Although, on the other hand, power eye left. Back to the deep back, Pembroke. Pembroke has it. Something has gotten the Warriors riled up here.
Fine hole on the left side, provided by the left tackle, number 65, Troy Trostclair, and the left guard, number 62, Hubert Smith. Offensive line really blew out that time in a third and short situation. Pembroke is really pouring his head. Warriors are in Raider territory for the first time tonight.
First time tonight.
47-yard line, so maybe they have something going here.
10:25, we're just underway in quarter number 2, and brick roll. See if we can pick up some of the names.
Number 75 for the Raiders, initial hit, that's Tracy Nicole. Once again, the linebackers are there, Sizer and number 56.
St. Germain. Tell you what, there was a host. In fact, it could have been the whole defense in on that last stop. Second down, and we'll call it 9. Somehow he picked up a yard on that carry. Wayne Williams. Pitch back to Pembroke. You're right, Ken. Pembroke's running very, very hard right now.
Fine running, good execution by Hollander. He made number 57, linebacker Carroll, a minute ago. Once again, he made the pitch. Pembroke just cut it upfield for a good gain of about 6 or 7 yards.
So the Warriors right now going to the left side of the field. They're attacking the Rummel left side, which is their right side on defense. 9:21 in our first half, and we have a fine halftime show coming your way. In fact, we had it planned. I don't know if the Raider band and the Bruin band will be going on the field. In past experiences in a field such as this tradition, they've allowed the bands just to play from the stands. Hollander, he's keeping all the way.
Nice block, nothing there.
Oh, look out. Jim Fields.
Number 87 made a fine play. He stayed home. There he is, just getting up.
You know, and that's so important for a defensive end. It's so easy for a defensive end to take a jab step to the inside, and if he's got a bit of a hole to cross, sometimes your outside blockers will give a little leeway to make it look like there's a gap there, and then just block against the grain. But I'll tell you what, he took no such fake there.
That's correct. Once again, we'll have Bubba Rubio, who scored earlier on a punt return for the Raiders, but he's standing right in the midst of the muddiest part of the field. So I would think if I were the Warrior kicker, I would try to kick the ball directly to him in the middle of the field.
Oh, you're right.
The ball in that very spot.
Carpenter back at the 43. And Ken, you know, I didn't think they would have this many big plays in our ball game, just because of the field condition, but we've had some long runs.
There's a fine kick. They'll do it in about the 10.
And it's going to be down at that point where the Rummel Raider offense will take over once again, this time deep in their own territory.
Once again, I suspect we'll see Rome and Shive in the backfield, along with Wagner at fullback and Jay Roth at quarterback. They've been outstanding thus far. Roth particularly has executed very, very well on his options, on his throws. Quite a fine ball game under these conditions.
You know, that's so important. I guess that's what's causing some problems for the Warrior defense right now, is the fact that Roth has been very elusive and has not given them anything. Straight ahead. Shive on the carry. And the Warrior defense, now it seems to me that they're Joe Spano, number 81, he's a big offensive end, and now he's in there on defense.
Yes, as we heard Elton mention earlier, they're playing a lot of people both ways, and it could very well take its toll, but Spanel made a very fine play there.
Now, last week against Holy Cross, East Jefferson had, 7 players going 2 ways, and it sort of played their toll on them late in the ball game, and it's playing on it right now early in the ball game.
This is a crucial situation if they can hold them here.
Handoff.
Good defensive play. John got the ball. Great containment there. Number 15 is a safety, came up and forced the play.
Ron Osorio. And Osorio's been on quite a few tackles for East Jefferson. Of course, he played for the Warriors last year and was very productive from his defensive position.
Actually, he plays at linebacker position, which is deceiving when you wear number 15, but he did a fine job forcing that play. He turned it in, and he had some support. We have a timeout on the field here, and I believe this is an official timeout. Did not see any signal either way. Certainly was. Now they're going to run the clock again with about 6:40 to go. Second quarter.
So the East Jefferson Warriors, if they're going to have any intentions of getting back in our ball game, they're going to have to get the ball back in their hands.
This is a big chance to do it. 3rd and 9. Crossbuck.
Oh, look, a big hole. He's still on his feet.
It's close.
Like Shive once again.
Yes.
Tell you what, if we're a little bit hesitant in giving numbers, it's mostly because they're hard to pick up from this point. As our ball players, especially in the white uniforms, and East Jefferson's in the blue, Rummel in the white, they're hard to pick up from players that have been hitting the ground.
Well, there's a golden opportunity by the wayside for East Jefferson. They had Rummel pinned deep in their own territory, and they allowed Shive to get through on a crossbuck, and he made a nice run, breaking a couple of tackles to obtain the first down.
Jay Roth, again, split backfield. The running backs, Wagner and Shive,
And
again, pulling guard. He's still on his feet. The initial hit.
Number 67, that's Jeff Graff. He really laid the leather to him, and yet Rome refused to go down.
Rome has some powerful legs. I guess any less of a running back would have been on his back. But Rome continued to pump, and I guess in his field position, field condition, has got to be just another feather in his cap. Right now, Jay Roth is looking over to head coach Easton Roth. Rome, Shive, Wagner, and Roth in the backfield. They're in tight. East Jefferson putting most of their defensive players.
Fullback started fast. They'll call this back in the scrimmage the ball.
It's almost intercepted. Ball overthrown, but the play will be called back, and you said it appeared to be against the Rummel Raiders.
Fullback moved prematurely, and that's Wagner. Of course, the coverage was excellent on the bomb. They had triple coverage, actually, on Delanaville, who is their key receiver and who caught the touchdown pass earlier. I think the Warriors woke up to him.
You know, Ken, we've spoken so much about Jay Roth and his ability, what he has done with the offense as far as keeping the defense from stalemate. During the week, I asked him about the East Jefferson defense. It would appear to be weak last week. And as far as his outlook, what the Warrior offense would do to attack it this week, this is what Jay had to say.
This year we changed from the power ride to the wing T offense. And in the first scrimmage, East Jefferson faced De La Salle and then Holy Cross. Chalmette, then Holy Cross. And Chalmette was the wing T team, and so was Holy Cross. And this will be the 3rd wing T team they're playing in a row. And I look for EJ to make some adjustments in order to stop the wing T this week. And hopefully we'll be able to move the ball in the backfield. We went to the wing T because of our speedy backfield we have and because of the inexperienced small offensive line. But I got a feeling this week we're going to get it all together.
Kurt, the big offensive threat for East Jefferson is Steve.
Once again, a touchdown-saving tackle across the field by number 23, Alan Jackson. The Raiders continue to open up some devastating holes in crucial situations, Manny.
You know, funny thing on that, Ken, the Warriors had the strong side of their defense, a strong side linebacker, to the weak side because of the dryness of the field. Here we go. Jay Roth and company. Rome in motion. Again, another crossing offensive thrust to the right side this time. Dan Wagner. Dan hasn't carried the ball that often, but when he has, he's been very effective, grinding out 3, punching for 4, so on. Mark Chandler and Alan Gotro and 66, Tim Woodward.
That's just a good hard run there, and they really mixing up their plays well. They hit you outside, hit you with a cross spot, throw a bomb, and then come back up the middle with the fullback. Right now, the Raiders can just about run anything.
Man in motion. Rome once again.
Oh, fine play.
Jeff Graff, number 67. Although the Warriors have been moved on, they're still playing, for the most part, pretty inspired defense.
There's Andre Rome on the carry, and Graff met him very, very hard. Of course, Graff, the young man that met Rome down the field on the other side just a few minutes ago.
You know, Ken, I know there's a few people on the Rummel side that's got to be pretty happy. That's offensive back coach Al Pontiff and Rick Gailey, the offensive line coach, because their offense has been very exciting.
Yes, some fine coaches as well.
Here we go. Jay Roth at the throttle now. Bootlegs it to the right. He's got excellent blocking. Oh, this man's wide open.
Delonaville again.
Delonaville. And Delonaville has hauled in some passes, this time inside the 15. Number 23, Alan Jackson, makes a touchdown-saving tackle inside the 15, down to about the 14, and the umpire marks it at the 13.
And you can see the poise of a senior quarterback there. Roth just kind of held his ground until the last possible second. He was about to get hit, and he threw a perfect strike to Delonaville, who incidentally is about 6'4". Jackson goes 5'8". That's a mismatch.
Big difference. And it's so true. He had a lot of poise just standing back there, not panicking, because his man wasn't open until maybe the last minute. Roth again.
Straight up the gut, they're going to score. To the 1.
I'll tell you what. The Warrior offense, the offensive line is opening some gaping holes. Schmidt, Starr, and Everett's right ahead on a dive play, unmercifully.
Well, you mentioned Schmidt and Starr, number 50, number 70, respectively, both legitimate all-district players in 11 quad A. Ricky Starr, 220, a returner from last year, and a super offensive guard.
Roth. Backfields Wagner shot in Rome once again. Touchdown.
That'll be Wagner.
Wagner hits pay dirt from 1 yard out.
Just a straight play. Hard to stop when you only need a yard, and they hit him straight up. And the Raiders have really displayed an awesome wing T offense, and we've mentioned it a few times previously, but the field is in not the best of conditions, and Rummel is kind of ignoring that and showing just a super display on offense.
Ken, what do you say? Score 26-0.
I say that
first half.
I say that it's going to be very, very tough for the Warriors to get back into this game, and I think at this point they're going to have to be content to try to salvage some pride and perhaps get on the scoreboard. That would certainly be an asset to them, considering the number of shutouts there have been in this series.
You're right. It's funny, the Raiders take such pride in the fact that, hey, don't let East Jefferson beat us. You know, and if we got a chance, let's do it to them. And that's exactly what's happening.
Oh, the extra point attempt here once again. We have a flag. I think the kick was good, but we're going to have some kind of penalty here. Last year, Manny, was probably the best opportunity East Jefferson had to defeat Rummel in the last few years. It was an outstanding ball game. 14-12 was the final score. And in recent years, the games have been very close. The last 3 or 4 years, I think we had a tie a couple of years ago as well as that game last year. And unfortunately for East Jefferson, they've come out on the short end of the stick in almost every case. But the Warriors get better every year, no doubt about it. The Warriors peaked late in the season last year. They beat East St. John, who won 12 quad A last year, after having been beaten quite a few times in the early going. This time the kick is good by Kubion. That makes the score Rummel 27, East Jefferson nothing, with 2:46 to go, Manny.
Well, we've got a timeout. Let's hear from one of our sponsors.
Being a local family store, we think gives Royal Furniture an advantage over some of the larger stores with their never-ending, super one-of-a-kind sales every month. We know how aggravating it is to go to a store and find they're out of an advertised item.
That's not how we run Royal Furniture.
27 points are on our scoreboard, and in fact, they're all on the Rummel Raider side. Rummel has devastated East Jefferson as East Jefferson continues to wobble in their own mistakes as well as the Rummel Raider offensive and defensive attack.
Well, that was definitely a pass attempt, and Hollander, in his anxiety to get the ball and drop back, just kind of pulled out too soon and dropped the football. They had a flood right, 3 receivers wide right, and unfortunately, we didn't get to see it develop.
Robert Carroll and Kurt Seister nailed down the linebacking slots, and in the secondary, John Liberto, Ken Stevens, Mike Membrino, and Brian Dewhurst have done an exceptional job. And here comes the... Oh, my goodness. And I'll tell you what, Steve Holland may not want to see a Rummel Raider for a long time.
Well, that was a big defensive end, 195-pound senior, number 87, Jim Fields, and he came virtually untouched from the weak side.
The Warriors appear to be shell-shocked, and rightfully so. Heart goes out to their entire squad, as well as the coaching staff. They've had as we stated earlier, a tough road ahead of them, and this may be a sign of things to come if they just can't get themselves back together. Rummel now playing wide open defense, have nothing to lose, got a big lead, handoff up the middle, tripped up initially by
a draw play, and right in the middle, number 43 for the Raiders, and that is James St. Germain, the defensive end. And Rummel has called a timeout with 39 seconds left, anticipating getting this ball back in pretty good field position. Of course, no lead is ever safe, but at 27-0, Rummel definitely in control of this.
Oh, yeah. Seems very...
See Danny Hollander shaking his head as he comes off the field. He's had a rough workout out there. Unfortunately, he hasn't had much support. Danny is an outstanding athlete. Given the proper time, he can throw the football, and given the proper hole, he can certainly run the football. This team will get better with age, and as the season goes on, they did that last year. Watch for the big rush here. They got 10 men at the line of scrimmage. They got 10 men up the line. Here they come.
They're going after it.
They did a good job.
They're calling a fair catch at the 46-yard line. And the Rummel Raiders start out in excellent field position with 33 seconds remaining in our half. And Ken, what do you do here? You're on the Rummel Raider side. Do you go for the big play, or are you contented to go in with a 27-0 lead?
I think that they may camouflage a big play type set here. Maybe put a couple of guys wide out and perhaps run a draw play and try to split them like they have up the middle a couple of times previously. Shy did a 50-yarder running that way just a few minutes ago. We have a fresh backfield and all new players, Manny.
Oh, this is going to be tough.
Number 12 is your quarterback. That's Bob Young.
In his backfield, number 17, Villaruby goes right, flags down.
That was Brian Hebert, fullback.
Sophomore, number 47. You know, the defense has played an important role tonight. They're shutting the Warriors down, and one of the gentlemen we spoke of earlier, Kurt Seister, has been exceptional from the linebacking position. And during the week, I had also questioned him about the ability of Hollander to break the big play. And sort of question along the lines as to what Rummel would do to stop or contain Steve Holland. And this is what Kurt had to say.
Well, I don't think we'd be doing anything special out of the ordinary, but we have 5 starting seniors, and with these 5, I think we can definitely stop the run. When Holland gets back and throws the ball, he can throw good. But with the experience in our secondary, John Liberto and Mike Membrino, and linebackers and defensive front putting up a nice rush, I think we can contain Hollander pretty good.
Okay, off the right side.
That's Hebert, and that should pretty much wrap it up here for the first 10.
7 seconds, clock winding down. Again, one of the things I'm impressed with here tonight is the fact that you look across from us, and there's a tremendous Rummel Raider following.
Yes, I would say that both schools have had traditionally outstanding followings. Rummel, of course, about 1,350 students enrolled there. At East Jefferson, I'm not even sure at this stage, because every year it seems like they're getting their cradle robbed, so to speak, and I'm sure that they have pretty much the same number of students there, but they have super followings just about everywhere they go, not just here at East Jefferson Stadium, where both teams call home.
So that ends our first half of play with the score, Rummel 27, East Jefferson 0.
Summer, fall, winter, or spring, at Four Seasons, you're always king. A family-owned store, Four Seasons.
Okay, if you just tuned in, 27-0, the Raiders on top. I'm Manny Baracco along with Kenny Trahan bringing you play-by-play of Cox Cable TV's Prep Game of the Week. And we've got a wild ball game here, and the wildness is all on Rummel's side. An outstanding statistics, Ken, is the fact that Hollander only has, well, not only has, he has minus 15 yards in 6 carries.
Summer fun, if it could only last. We've graduated.
Just went out of bounds, so we'll be seeing it put down at the 40-yard line, and the East Jefferson Warriors will take over at that point. Here's our first half stats stacked up. Shive, 68 yards on 5 carries. Wagner, 24 yards on 7 carries. Rome, 79 yards on 6 carries. A lot of offense from Rummel. Ken, how did the scoring stack up?
Well, of course, the first score was a brilliant punt return by Bubba Villarubia of 40 yards. Then Rummel got on the board with a 70-yard run from Andre Rome, the speedster. The third time out, it was a J. Roth to Artie Delonaville, 24-yard, perfectly executed touchdown pass. And finally, Dan Wagner had a 1-yard run after a long drive. Delonaville got a 2-point conversion.
Okay, the Warrior offense handed off to Pembroke, and Pembroke, if there was a workhorse for East Jefferson the first half, it was him.
Yes, he's been the one player that has shown the ability to play some good football for East Jefferson tonight. Mike Membrano on the tackle for Rummel. Pembroke was very, very hard.
Here we go, East Jefferson, second down, we'll call it 4 yards. Same offense in for the Warriors, stacked up across the line. Smith, Zeldin, Woodward, White, Trosclair. Joe Spano at the tight end slot. Here we go. Crossbar. Oh!
Forget it.
Looks like number 79 for Rummel.
75, that's Tracy Nicole. Playing the nose guard position. Fine play by Nicole, who's a 205-pound junior, so he's got another year left, and he's got some good size with him right now.
You'd swear that defensive coaching staff has scouted East Jefferson very strongly. Mark Martin, Warren Graffio, George Ryan, Clyde Gravois. There we go. Hollander dropping back to pass for one of the few times tonight, and that may be the reason why he hasn't dropped back to pass many times. Number 76 for Rummel, Tony Macaluso.
They had a good rush on number 86, the intended receiver for East Jefferson. That's Wayne Williams. Fine coverage, though, by Mike Membrano, who is an all-district cornerback for Rummel. So, nonetheless, if the pass would have been good, I don't think it would have worked.
Well, Ken, we're about to see Mr. Exciting put his hands on the football once again. Number 17,
Bubba Villarubia. Why, he only goes about 140 pounds, but you never know by the way he's played tonight.
You're right. Back to punt. Steve Carpenter, he's had quite a workout with this heavy ball. Low spiral.
He'll feel this one.
At the 18.
Return right. He's got a wall.
Look at
he's
that
got
ball.
A wall.
Flags down. May have a clip.
Fine run, but it looks like we have a clip, and it could be number 43. Hard to make out his number down there. Of course, as you said, the number's obliterated, but third at this point. That is number 43. Apparently, he was the culprit on this play.
Ken, as soon as you said, look at the wall, I looked up and it was all white jerseys. We'll take a break now with the score 27-0. Rummel. We'll be right back. Make a point that Rummel's special units are very well disciplined, and I think, it couldn't have been said any better, because every time the Raiders have had a punt return or kickoff coverage, they've been exceptional.
Yes, they certainly have, and as I mentioned, they're returning the ball to where the field is dry on the sideline. Every time it's worked.
Here we go.
There's a big hole. Saving tackle there.
By number 40 for East Jefferson.
Wagner, the fullback, on the carry, and
Toss, number 40, on the tackle.
Just a terrific hole. They're about a yard short of a first down. And there's no doubt that he saved that from being a touchdown.
First unit still in for Rummel. And J. Roth still calling out the signals. The East Jefferson Warriors now in an overshift to the left. And the overshift works because the Warriors were right there. Straight ahead dive play.
But I think they accomplished what they wanted to do, Rummel did, and that is get the 1.5 yards for the first down.
So big first down. I don't think there's anything better that the Raider coaching staff would like to see right now, is other than the Rummel Raiders right now grind out the big yards. Eat the clock up and grind out the big yards and come down there and put some more points on the board. Here we go. Rome in motion left.
Nice play.
Completed. And the numbers, you just can't even tell from here, but Jay Roth just lofted over the outstretched arms.
Could have been Rome or Wagner out of the backfield. One of the two.
Appeared to be Wagner from here.
That's Jay Shive.
Well, we
know he's one of the running backs because he's a slot man out of the backfield on the rule line, but the numbers are just so dirty at this point, it's hard to tell. Shive with a fine catch off a fine pass by Roth.
Now I'm looking at the East Jefferson secondary. They've got a lot of young ball players in there, and I think at this stage of the game, Coach Brock has said, well, we're working a few players real hard. Let's give some of our young ball players a chance to play, and let's see what they can do.
Very little that time over the left side for Wagner. The whole just not there. Outstanding defensive play by the Warrior right interior front. So it'll be a second down and let's call it 10 situation. No gain on that play. Let's see if the Raiders come to the wide side.
Were you sort of surprised to see Rummel throw right there?
I would think that they're not going to put the ball up much, but if they do, that would be the kind of pass they expect to see. And they broke this one, but they got flags. Shive up the
Shive one more time. I tell you what, Shive hits that hole with an uncanny speed. Many backs will look left, right, and try to find an open spot. Shive just goes straight ahead, and there was daylight right in front of him. He just put on the afterburners.
Well, the Raiders, when they're excited, you get to the line of scrimmage and beat the Warriors off the ball. And I think jumped the gun 4 or 5 times tonight offensively, and that has been their one flaw that you would have to say they have to correct when they go back getting ready for next week.
You know, again, Bill Bumgarner was up here with us just a few minutes ago. He's with the Times-Picayune. And here's some of the predictions that Times-Picayune has put out in the newspaper. District 12 Quad A, from top to bottom, East St. John, pick number 1, Everett number 2, West Jeff number 3, EJ number 4, Bonneville number 5, and Slidell number 6.
As far as 12 Quad A is concerned, I've made my own picks, and I like Everett to win it with East St. John right behind them. Two of the best teams in the state, and I think everybody will have to keep their eyes on those two, no doubt.
Same here.
Has a good club as well.
Across the interior, appeared to be Rome.
Looks like it could have been a fresh number in there. Number 17, Villarubia, as a matter of fact. Let's see if it gets up.
Slow getting up at that.
It did look like it was Villarubia who ran the ball, and unfortunately, whoever it is, Rummel is just getting up slowly. And we'll see right now. He's got an almost white jersey.
Yeah, it's got to be a freshman.
I would think that that was Villarubia, but we'll have to wait to check it out. He's listed, of course, as the second string left halfback.
So the Rummel Raiders with the 27-point lead halfway through our third quarter. Just contented right now to sit on the ball.
Here's a rollout.
We're up, line of time. Across the middle, wide open.
Great throw.
Look at the fancy footsteps.
Great throw, great move. That's Brian Gardner.
Inside the midfield stripe down to the 45 of East Jefferson. Again, I'm just so impressed with Jay Roth's boys at quarterback, and again, you cannot forget about the people up front that's given him so much time. He had excellent pass protection, unlike Hollander. Hollander's been having the white jerseys all over and flags down. Personal foul. First down, Rummel.
A little bit aggressive on the tackle there, a little extracurricular once it was over, and Gardner made a fine reception, a good throw by Roth, and did you see those fancy footsteps he put on there to get a couple of extra yards?
Very, very, very quick feet.
This time Gardner's wide to the left and everyone else is tight. Rome in a slot right. Watch Rome go in motion. Straight up this time. Oh, look at this run.
Oh, he made Ray Brinkett. Take away the wet footing, 6 more points.
Yes, and a saving tackle by number 61 for East Jefferson on that play, and that's Paul Tiffany, returning starter, but a terrific run on that play. Number 39, it looked like John Wagner.
I'm afraid to call out numbers because I'm not even coming close.
And here limping off the field for East Jefferson, one of the defensive players. And once again, it's hard to tell that number, although it looks like number 15, and he's played a lot tonight. That's who that is.
The Warrior defense digs in inside the 20.
Another big, hard run up the gut. This time it looked like Shibe, and it looks like they're inside the 10, close to a first down.
5:19. The Rummel Raiders continue to impress. The many people that's up here in our press box, Ken, we've got scouts from all over the place because a lot of people realize that this is such a rivalry that both ball clubs are going to show you everything they have here. And the Rummel Raiders continue to flex their muscles.
It was indeed Shibe on that last run. Here the Warriors got 8 men at the line of scrimmage. Let's see if they can stop the run. There goes Roman motion.
Big hole, gaping hole.
Get down to about the 1. Knocking at the door, looked like Shibe again. And even the 8-man line didn't work in that situation.
I'll tell you what.
Mass replacements for the Warriors. Look at this. Number 15 coming back in the game. He's played the game, almost the entire game on defense, and has played hard, has made a lot of tackles. Here he comes limping back on the field for East Jefferson, and I think that indicates the kind of depth that they have. Just isn't there.
Very, very true. There's not many times you'll see the East Jefferson Warriors fall at the wayside this bad.
Yeah, that's Ron Osorio, the young man that's been hurt. He's back in the game at this stage. He's really played hard tonight. You have to give him credit. Roth
quarterback sneak.
And he does.
Touchdown, Jay Roth from 1 yard out. So the Rummel Raiders continue to notch points in the scoreboard. 33-0 with 4:08 in our third quarter. Ken, we're going to be coming up to something that's going to, I guess it's going to have to impress both of us, is the fact that Rummel has got to put in many white jerseys very shortly. And from what I saw last week of Holy Cross, when their young ball players came in, they were hungry. They wanted to score, and I know Rummel's going to be in the same boat. These kids have a chance to be a part of something that's going to stay with them the rest of their life. When you defeat a rivalry as bad as it's taking place tonight, you want to get in and have a big part in it. And no matter what you say, coaches can call off the dogs, as they sort of say, or they can slack up and just win the ball game. But when you put them young players in there, there's no such animal. They're going after it.
Yes, when you change personnel, it's very true. They want to score just as bad as the other guys. There's a block kick. Fine effort there, coming in from the outside.
Right.
Just fully covered by
And that's number 50, Osorio. Outstanding.
The young man has just given his all tonight. You've noticed him from start to finish, and look at him. He hasn't gotten up yet. He's hurt once again. You saw him limp back onto the field. Just a display of courage and a lot of pride on the part of this young man. And at this point, of course, that is what East Jefferson is playing for, pride, and to try to get their season geared away. District play is what counts here, and this game is a pre-district game, and they're going to take their lumps against good teams from 11 Quad A with a young team, and if they can just hold it together, it could be tough.
Ken, we've talked to Tom Brock, and our hearts go out to him and his coaching staff. He has a lot of question marks on his ball club, and I asked him to see if he could answer some of those question marks. Here's what Tom had to say.
Well, our 1980 ball club, like you said, we do have a lot of question marks, Manny. We felt that we were going to be pretty sound defensively. The other night against Holy Cross, we didn't show that. We were concerned very much with our offense. The offense has improved drastically. We're hoping this week against Rummel that the defense will answer a lot of those question marks we had last week.
Osorio helped off, Ken, one reason why you'll see some people limping at this stage of our ball game, it may at times not be injuries, but I've seen it happen in past games. This mud plays a heavy toll on a young man's calves. They're carrying around a lot of weight with them, and many times players will go down with Charlie horses and just tight legs.
Look at it. Look at the young man. That's a picture in itself right there. That would be a great yearbook picture, a dedication for you. Osorio, a fine, fine young ball player. And he's truly given his all. Let's see if the kick is short once again. This time he hits it pretty good.
And over-end kick. The Warriors, number 24, Andy Meir, Across the 20, near the 30-yard line, Randy Roth, Pat Kennedy.
There's Pat Kennedy, defensive back, on the stop there. Let's see if Danny Hollander can get the ball in the air against what looks to be a new Rummel defense. A lot of white shirts out there.
Oh, a lot of white shirts. Ken, you know, a lot of things go into a football game. We saw the Rummel band on the field at halftime, but there's cheerleaders, there's dance teams, pep squads, drill teams. You know, there's just so many students that are involved in pulling off a football game. You're just watching at this point in your game on your screen 22 of them. There's a lot of work that goes in practice during the week, and this is just sort of like a culminating event at the end of the week for the ball team. Number 11, Hollander, still at quarterback.
Pembroke went flying through the air, number 87 on the tackle there. That's Jim Fields, the defensive end, who's played this whole game virtually. But Pembroke has shown me a desire to really stick his head in there and make some yardage. He's going to be a fine running back.
I think he will. Again,
Most impressive player tonight for East Jefferson, no doubt.
By far, no doubt. The color on your screen is probably not as clear as you'd like to see it, and of course one reason is the poor lighting here at East Jefferson Stadium. There's about 51 lights currently out here at the stadium, and hopefully the parish officials or school officials will remedy the situation so you'll have a much clearer picture on your screen.
Here's a rollout pass option.
He's got a man! Look out!
That's a little speedster, number 23, Alan Jackson.
Alan Jackson had everybody beat, and Steve Hollander just showed you why he's been respected so much. Brian Dewhurst saved the touchdown right there, dragged down from behind.
Oh, there's the perfect indication, as you just alluded to. You give Hollander time, he can hurt you. The young man is an outstanding athlete, a three-sport man. You just threw a perfect strike to Jackson with a little time. So now you hit the Warrior band in the background, and they've got something cranked up, and let's see if the East Jefferson Warriors can get in this end zone and make this an interesting affair and salvage some pride.
One of the few times they have had something to cheer about. Steve Hollander, who just heaved a pass downfield for a completion, has come to the sidelines to head coach Tom Brock. Steve had this to say about the added pressure on his offense.
The defense really got it together, and I think that we're capable of moving the ball pretty good. The offensive line's come together since last week, and our running backs were hurt, and they're back in shape, and they'll be ready for Rummel. And the pressure, there is going to be some pressure because this game is really probably the biggest game of the year for EJ and probably for Rummel too. That's about all the pressure they put on us.
Okay, Hollander brings his ball club up. Ken, it's a thing of pride now. You're down 33-0. Something's got to break.
Yes, let's keep an eye on Wayne Williams here. He's split way wide out to the right side. Got one-on-one coverage if they want to go that way. They're going to run the ball left. Pembroke. Short yardage.
Bring up a second down situation. 2:25 now. Here's our lineup of ball games coming your way from Cox Cable TV. Of course, if you live in Kenner and Harahan, you'll see it on Cable 12, in Metairie and River Ridge, Cable 7. East Jefferson versus Rummel, of course, that's tonight. September 13th, Riverdale versus Curtis. That's next Saturday here from East Jefferson. September 19th, Bonneville versus Brother Martin. September 28th, the Raiders travel back here to play Archbishop Shaw, and that'll be at Gormley Stadium. October 4th, Grace King, Warren Easton. Back to our ball game. Hollander on a keeper, wide right.
Nothing there.
Look at the pursuit by the Rummel Raiders.
The whole team is over there. You see one Rummel Raider in the middle of the field and 10 others on the left right sideline. There's just nothing doing there. It's kind of like the play is telegraphed. You can see it developing the entire time. Just a little bit too slow.
We apologize for not being able to call out name after name, but the numbers from up here, looking down at the field, are just almost impossible to read. The Rummel Raider defense, in fact, any defense can, to be successful, you've got to have, just what the Rummel Raiders displayed, lateral pursuit.
Yes, and here we have a slant left formation, 2 men wide left, and the Raiders are late getting out of their defensive huddle. Let's see if the Hollander's going to roll out to the left side. Yes, he is. We have a flag down there.
Got a little protection, lofts it. Man open, maybe a pass interference.
Well, fine play there, but we had a flag at the right side of the play, and I think it'll go against the Warriors for motion. We'll see. Good coverage on the play. They pass intended there for just coming back into the huddle there, and that's number 26 for East Jefferson, and that is Tim Fondren, 6'1", 153-pound senior. At 6'1", a good target, obviously, but...
the Warriors have a few tall receivers. Spano is a tall individual. He's a tight end. But here's the remainder of our lineup. October 11th, Curtis versus River Oaks. October 16th, we go into our district in 12 Quad A. Bonneville versus Errett. October 24th, East Jefferson versus West Jeff. November 1st, Grace King versus Riverdale. November 7th, EJ versus Bonneville. Of course, playoffs will be telecast according to time and location.
And we had a procedure penalty on the play against East Jefferson. The Raiders declined it. Of course, the pass incomplete, which brings up a situation here of 3rd and long. Let's call it 3rd and about 12. School board has 4th down, but from what I can recall, it's a 3rd down.
Very true.
Oh, now they have it at 4th. It is 4th down indeed. 4th and 12, so this is sort of the last gasp on this drive. And Hollander's chosen to roll out quite a bit. Let's see if he does it again.
He's got to go bootleg. Good rush, he's down. The Rummel Raider defense has finally closed the doors with 52 seconds left in our 3rd quarter on Steve Hollander.
Yep, the big sack, and once again, it's number 87, his 3rd sack of the night. That's Jim Fields, the senior defensive end. Somebody's just not blocking him, or he's coming clean.
Again, this is Manny Baracca with Kenny Trahan from Cox Cable TV at East Jefferson Stadium, bringing you our first prep game of the week. And I would have to say that the Rummel Raiders have enjoyed this one very thoroughly.
Well, our friend Osario is back in the game on one leg in black pants, and the Raiders have a new offense with the quarterback being Bobby Young. That's Broussard. No game. Fine play there. Mike Broussard, the ball carrier. Outstanding defensive play by number 52 for East Jefferson.
Bob Young at quarterback, as Ken had stated. Young is a junior, 146 pounds.
Oh, there he comes off the field again.
The Rummel Raider offense with a 33-point advantage. 4 seconds. This may be our last play in our
You're not going to get it off, I don't believe. That'll do it for 3.
So now, after 3 quarters of play, score: Rummel 33, East Jefferson 0. Brian Hebert carried the first play for Rummel, picked up 4 yards, third down.
3rd and about 6.
3rd and 6. Rummel Raider offense in tight, fine block upside.
There he goes again, Rubio.
Rubio made Frank and loose. Only Pat Arsenault stands between him and the goal. He's got some rocket in front. Rubio inside the 20, down to the 15, 14-yard line.
What incredible balance this young man displays. He was hit 3 times by East Jefferson players, twice by his own men running interference, and he still maintained his balance on this wet, sloppy field.
This man is very exciting. The Rummel Raider offense is, if you haven't seen a good high school football game, go watch the Raiders play. The Raiders have a very exciting offensive ball club. Needless to say, the defense has got to be pretty tough, too, because they haven't let up a point through their jamboree, which they won 19-0, and this ball game 33-0.
That run good for about 59 yards.
Here we go. Again, number 12, Bob Young.
Big hole for Broussard. Broussard to about the 3.
I'll tell you what, I just don't know who can be named right now the player of the game, because it's almost a complete team trophy for Rummel. They've had so many outstanding players.
In my In my initial top 10 for WTIX for the prep season, I picked Rummel fifth in the entire metropolitan area, and I cited the fact that they have great skill position players, and that is exactly what we have seen tonight. Just outstanding individual performances from skill position players. A whole host of them. This is the second team in there right now, and they are doing a job.
This is what we talked of earlier, again, about young kids getting into play. They don't want to slack off. They want to score.
There's a
But the Warriors pull up a fine defensive play.
That's the way to hit. Number 65 initially in on the action for East Jefferson. That's Troy Trustclair.
Along with number 61, Paul Timpany. I know one man is hurt real bad is Paul Vetrano because he takes a lot of pride in his ball clubs at his school. But Paul, don't give up the ship yet.
Yes.
There's a long season ahead.
You're a fine administrator, and your football team will eventually catch up to your laurels.
Here we go. Pass across the middle, incomplete.
Wide open. Pass was just low. Pass intended for number 82 for Rummel. That's Mike Rainey, the backup tight end. Rainey wide open on the play, but Bobby Young just couldn't deliver the ball. He kind of rushed it, threw it low. It'll be third and goal once again here, Manny, and let's see if the Warriors can hold them out of the end zone here. That would certainly bring them a measure of pride.
Oh, yes. Here we go.
That'll be Villarubia. He won't make it.
No way.
Maybe a yard.
So now, fourth down situation.
Fourth down at about the 2.5-yard line, and you would think they'll have to go for it here.
And I'll tell you what, I know as far as the Warriors are concerned, they would definitely like to keep the Raiders out of the end zone. 33 points in itself is pretty bad, but when you get into the 40s, it sounds like you took some serious hickeys.
It's downright embarrassing, and I'm sure East Jefferson will do their best to keep Rummel out of the end zone here. 8:50 to go and counting, fourth quarter. Young marks the signals.
Bootleg to the left. He may run it.
Wide open.
Passes it wide open. Young.
That looks like the tight end, number 82, and it is Mike Rainey.
The Rummel Raiders continue to run up the score.
That's number 83, the receiver on the play. It looked like 82, but it was 83 for Rummel. That is John D'Antoni, listed as a linebacker, but on this play, a wide receiver. And he did a fine job. He was waving the entire time, and it took Young just a couple of seconds to spot him. Once he did well, it was 6 more points.
Again, the play-action pass that Rummel is pulling right now, they're bootlegging left, bootlegging right, and they've just had exceptional blocking from the interior line. There's a timeout on the field, and it's going to be awarded to the Rummel Raiders as they're getting ready to tee up and shoot it. Point number 40. Phenomenal.
College is more than a classroom at the University of New Orleans. Sure, we hit the books at UNO, but there are other activities that round out the total person. Plays and concerts, festivals, and films and flea markets, lectures and exhibits, the Greeks and other group gatherings, baseball, basketball, intramurals, even apple pie. Be a total person. Attend a total university. UNO.
In the entire 13 years that these two ball clubs have met, neither one has scored 40 points. East Jefferson scored 32 one time, and other than that 30-point mark, Rummel has never reached it. EJ has never gone out of the teens other than that 132-point shot.
That's correct, and obviously tonight that will go out the window if Mr. Kubion can convert this extra point here.
Again, we apologize if we've had some difficulties tonight. We had a lot of technical problems here at East Jefferson Stadium. The extra point is up. And it is good. With 8:41 remaining in our ball game, the score, get this, Rummel 40, East Jefferson 0. And Wayne Silva just passed us in the press box. He's been calling the plays down from upstairs, and he seemed to be very dejected for East Jefferson.
Oh, of course, Wayne, an outstanding baseball coach to go along with his football prowess, and certainly he is an asset to this school.
Very true. Good man. Here we go, the Warriors, led by Steve Hollander. Hollander again, split backfield, wide receivers, elects to go straight ahead up the middle.
Not much there, and I don't think you're going to score that way at this point in the game. Although the field position is not good, they're going to have to try a few things, pull something out of the trick bag, so to speak. They have nothing to lose. If they commit a turnover, well, it's just 6 or 7 more points, and at this stage, it's not.
Right.
It's not pertinent.
No, it's not. I would imagine East Jefferson, this stage of our ball game, will be just sort of contented if they can improve on a few things, if they can mount a drive, a sustained drive. Hollander pitches back. And from this angle, it had to be Pembroke.
Yes, playing off the block very well. Number 2, Pat Kennedy, a defensive back, only a sophomore. Why, he did a fine job. He was blocked on the play, but maintained his balance and forced him out of bounds.
7:56 now remaining in our ball game. 40-0 Rummel. The Rummel Raiders, this is by no means an individual victory. The Rummel Raiders have come here as an offense and a defensive unit and have put it together, as the coaches sort of say, and have did a number on the East Jefferson Warriors tonight. 40-0, 7:56. Straight ahead, Pembroke, and Pembroke is knocked down very hard to the Warrior turf.
Shades of 1979. The Saints